They dream of success, but they cannot endure the journey. They plant a seed today and demand a tree tomorrow. The moment life slows down, becomes uncomfortable or painful, they convince themselves that nothing is working. They scroll through social media, watching others shine, and lose all hope. They give up right before their breakthrough is about to arrive. But life follows a strange law. The ones who remain patient during the darkest hours are often the ones who win in the end. Before I share this story with you, I want to ask you something. If this message touches your heart today, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us create more content that changes lives. Now, let me tell you a story that will change how you see patience forever. In a small, sun-scorched village there lived a poor farmer named Elias. He owned nothing valuable, no land, no riches, no fame. All he had was a crumbling hut, a few broken tools, and one old donkey named Rusty. Rusty was not a magnificent creature. He was not fast like a horse. He was not beautiful like a stallion. His fur was dusty, his body was worn, and his steps were painfully slow. People laughed whenever they saw him walking through the village paths. The villagers constantly mocked Elias. "Why do you still keep that useless animal? He's too old, he's too slow, he's holding you back. Sell him before he becomes a burden." But Elias always smiled and replied, "Slow does not mean worthless." Every morning before the sun painted the sky, Elias would load small sacks of vegetables onto Rusty's back and walk to the distant market. The journey was brutal. Rocky paths, scorching heat, and endless dust. Other farmers with horses would reach the market hours before him, sell their goods quickly, and return home while Elias was still walking. Elias earned very little. Some days he came back with unsold vegetables. Some nights there was barely enough food for dinner. One evening, after another disappointing day at the market, Elias sat alone outside his hut. His eyes were heavy with defeat. "I work every single day," he whispered to himself, "but nothing ever changes." As he spoke, Rusty slowly walked over and gently rested his head on Elias's shoulder. Elias smiled sadly and patted his old friend. "At least you understand me." The next morning, Elias decided to try something different. Instead of following the crowded main road to the market, like everyone else, he chose a longer, winding path through the mountains. People thought he had lost his mind. "Your donkey is already slow, and now you're choosing an even longer road? You'll never make it." But Elias ignored them. He trusted his instincts. As they walked through the mountains, Elias noticed something strange. Wild fruit trees grew everywhere. Travelers crossing the mountains were always tired, hungry, and thirsty. But nobody sold anything there, because everyone preferred the faster main road. Elias stopped and thought deeply. The next day, he carried water bottles and fresh fruits along with his vegetables. While walking through the mountain path, exhausted travelers hastily bought from him. For the first time in months, Elias returned home with extra money. Weeks turned into months. More travelers began waiting for Elias on the mountain road. They trusted him because he was honest, kind, and always arrived at the same time every single day. Meanwhile, the farmers on the main road faced intense competition. Prices dropped, fights broke out, and many returned home empty-handed and frustrated. But Elias kept following the slow mountain path with Rusty. Day after day, step after step. One afternoon, a wealthy merchant traveling through the mountains noticed Elias helping an injured stranger for free. The merchant watched quietly as Rusty stood patiently beside them, carrying heavy loads without complaint. The merchant was deeply impressed. "You are different from everyone else," he told Elias. "Most people only care about money, but you care about people." Elias smiled humbly. "Life taught me that patience is more valuable than speed." The merchant then made a life-changing offer. "I need someone trustworthy to transport valuable goods through these mountains every week. Everyone refuses because the road is difficult. Will you do it?" Elias agreed without hesitation. That simple opportunity transformed his life completely. Over the next few years, Elias slowly earned enough money to buy land, repair his home, and live with dignity. But he never forgot Rusty. Even when people respected him now, Elias still walked beside his donkey every morning. One day, a young boy asked him, "Sir, how did you become successful?" Elias looked at Rusty and smiled. "Because of him." The boy looked confused. "But he's just a donkey." Elias replied, "No, he is the reason I learned patience." The boy sat beside him curiously. Elias continued. Everyone wanted speed. Everyone wanted quick success. They laughed at slow progress. But this donkey taught me something powerful. Slow steps still move forward. Patience still reaches the destination. Years later, a terrible storm hit the village. Heavy rain destroyed the main road completely. Trade stopped entirely. Farmers who depended on the fast road lost everything overnight. But the mountain path Elias had traveled for years remained safe because it was built on stronger ground. Now the entire village depended on Elias's route for food and supplies. The same villagers who once laughed at Rusty now stood silently, watching Elias walk through the mountains, carrying supplies for everyone. One old villager lowered his head in shame and said, "We judged you because you were slow." "We were wrong," Elias replied calmly. "The world often laughs at patience because it cannot see the future." That night, Elias sat beside Rusty under the stars. Rusty had grown very old. His steps were weaker than before. Allah gently touched his head and whispered, "You carried more than vegetables. You carried my dreams when nobody believed in me." A few days later, Rusty passed away peacefully near the same mountain road they had traveled for years. Elias buried him under a large tree overlooking the valley. People from the village came to visit because by then everyone knew the story of the patient donkey. Near the grave, Elias placed a small wooden sign. It read, "Fast people may arrive early, but patient people arrive stronger." And that is the lesson of this story. Patience does not mean doing nothing. Patience means continuing to move forward, even when results are invisible. Patience means trusting the process, even when the world calls you foolish. Most people destroy their future because they cannot survive temporary discomfort. They quit too soon. They change direction too quickly. They panic when life becomes slow. But success is not always about talent or speed. Sometimes success belongs to the person who simply refuses to stop. A tree takes years before giving fruit. A river cuts through rock not because of power, but because of consistency. And just like Rusty the donkey, sometimes the slowest journey creates the strongest life. If life feels slow right now, do not lose hope. Your patience may be building something bigger than you can currently see. If this message resonated with you today, please do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is one thing you are being patient for right now? Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can inspire more people to stay patient and keep moving forward. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.